Well, hello everybody and welcome back. Today we are doing a Coach's Corner discussion. We have done a variety of interviews, talking to people about their fitness journey, things of this nature, and we've done a bunch of stuff. We've even reviewed the sauna blanket.
The sauna blanket?
Yeah.
We did the magic pill.
That's, yeah.
Your 50 Cent lyrics?
Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Coach's Lounge, it's more of a relaxed episode. I just want to talk to you, man. What's up?
So
We'll talk about current events. We'll talk about fitness. We'll talk about social media. Talk about your biceps a little bit.
do you know how many people enjoy you talking about my biceps? They just they come into the club and all of a sudden, hey, Curtis, your biceps. I'm like, oh, you've been listening.
I'm legitimately jealous. So this just is what it is.
It's a thing. People razz me about it daily because of you.
You know, on social media, they all have their algorithms that pump different content to different people depending on what you consume. So for those of you who don't know the algorithm very well, whatever you're actually watching, if you spend 50 seconds of a 60-second clip watching it, it's going to pump more of that stuff to you. Something that's getting pumped to me a lot on my social media is bicep development. And one of those things, I'm not even lying. One of the things, I can't remember who, it was an old school bodybuilder, but all these guys, it seems like the weird thing about social media is your algorithm feels like your universe and you feel like everybody should know what's going on, like with the content that you're consuming. And then when they don't, they're like, what do you mean? Like it's all over social media, but there's so much on social media, right?
Well, that's kind of the echo chamber thing that people talk about. Like what you consume, you get more of. But for me, it's funny because we talk about this and I'm like, hey, let's get philosophical on this. I wonder how much like your own echo chamber of the foods that you eat drive the way that you experience cravings and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's a different topic. Just to stay on track with what
Yeah,
I was
I
saying,
know.
there was an old bodybuilding coach that keeps getting mentioned all over my social media, and everybody's being like, yo, you want insane bicep development? Underhand, like so a supinated lat pull down with a focus on the biceps. Oh, and it's going to be crazy. They're like, it's like that magic exercise, the magic pill for your biceps. Like, you know why my biceps haven't grown? Because I didn't do any supinated lat pull downs with a bicep focus. If I start doing those, will my biceps look like yours?
No.
Damn it.
You have longer arms than me, gentlemen.
Just like by a little bit.
So that's an interesting thing, though, because it's like, oh, this is the magic pill, and you feel it so much better. It's like, yeah, you want to know why you feel your biceps so much better up here? It is cramping. It doesn't have a good moment up there.
Yeah.
So when they're like, oh, it feels so much, it's so much more intense. It feels like crampy. It is crampy. It's not a great angle. It's not.
I wonder how many guys, though, get a placebo effect of like gains just because they believe it. They're like, oh man, that's got to be it. I got to believe it. And they just go and hit it. There's got to be some kind of placebo. 10%.
I think when people are that excited about their biceps, they probably spend a lot of time on their damn biceps anyways.
I actually don't spend that much time on my biceps.
Oh, that's your problem right there.
That's probably some of my problem.
Time in the game.
It's probably some of my problem.
I don't spend that much time on my biceps.
Shut up, Curtis.
I have T-Rex arms. I was blessed with T-Rex arms, and that's a blessing and a curse. Because, you know, everybody fears the T-Rex, but also tying your shoes can be hard.
That's why you got flexible hamstrings.
No, I got Kizik's. Yeah, they got, see this?
The
springy
can't.
back. I know the camera can't see it, but the back springs.
I've seen these shoes already on social media. You don't need to print them out.
K-I-Z-I-K, Kizik, yep.
Use code Curtis Howden for discount.
I wish I had a discount code. I'd buy another pair. I would. I bought my wife a pair. I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about our workouts, or do you want to talk about current events that I want to talk to you about?
Well, let's do one or the other. What do you want to start with?
Okay, we'll do stupid current events.
Stupid current events. I want to hear it.
So one of them, so when we talk about the algorithm, I get fed a lot of conspiracy theory stuff.
Tinfoil hat?
Not because I believe it. I just think that it's interesting, like that people think about this way. So did you see the conspiracy theory on the Maui fires in Hawaii?
That it was like started from satellites?
Yeah, laser beams.
Yeah.
Lasers with sharks. They sent a bunch of sharks to Maui.
With freaking laser beams on their freaking head?
No, did you see the how they're like the laser doesn't hit blue, the color blue?
Did you see the circle of fire in the boats?
No.
There was like a
So
circle.
you're getting different conspiracy theories than
No,
me.
it was the same one, but there was a circle of boats on fire, so they were getting all tinfoil hat about like, you must have been beamed out from space, bro. Here's the thing. I'm not bought into it. I don't think that's a thing. But it's like, it's weird seeing a circle of boats on fire like that, but I don't know what's doctored and stuff either. Like, is that reality? That's this, man, I'm so tangential today. Good word though.
That is a good word.
With AI now, you can really develop a lot of pictures, and like you got access to a lot of things that you could be like, see, this proves it. It's like, well,
it's harder than ever to actually, confirm.
Yeah, and I don't think that. I'll say something. This is a little bit cheeky. It is. With all the climate change stuff going on, we don't ever talk about how most forest fires are started by people anymore. And I'm not talking nefarious at all. Like, it used to be that they'd just pump out like, hey man, make sure you put your fire out all the way. Don't throw cigarettes out the window. This percentage of forest fires are started by humans and stuff like that. But like, nobody reports on that anymore. Like, it's just like straight to like, oh, it's a climate change disaster. And it's like, well,
global boiling.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. But it's also like, even with that going on, like maybe something we could do is make sure we educate the population on how these fires started. Like, is there anybody looking into how that fire started? In Maui, I think it was down power lines, that's good. It's one thing where they're like, hey, here's how it got going. Or lasers. I don't know about that. How do you feel about crazy things like that?
So did you see the cloth demonstration? There was like, so these guys laid out like a red cloth, a yellow cloth, a green cloth, and a blue cloth, and used a laser, and the laser literally like cooks the cloths and sets them all on fire, but when it hits the blue cloth, it doesn't do anything. And then they're like, well, there's guys walking around, hard to tell what's doctrinated, but there's guys walking, look, the blue car didn't get burned, but all the other cars are all cooked. And like there's these blue umbrellas that were in Maui that didn't get touched, but everything else around it's cooked.
You got deep algorithm.
It's just because I do find it stupid, but it's just like,
I haven't heard any of that.
I'm not believing it. Another thing that I saw in the Maui fires was the cars were actually melting. So they're like, oh, a forest fire is not strong enough to melt a car, but then like there's videos of cars that have like a trail of like hot like liquid metal that then solidified.
Liquid magma.
There's a lot of Dr. Evil references going on with
it's
these.
Going heavy.
Dr.
It's
Evil.
Heavy.
You know, maybe that's part of the conspiracy theory. Maybe there's a guy in a submarine.
Maybe it was part of Preparation H.
It works on the whole.
Well, the thing with this whole thing, like if you look at like the actual cost of these fires, I think it was 100 billion yen.
Going straight back to Dr. Evil.
No. I think that people are going to say a lot of stuff. I don't have a lot of data on it. Like, let's be real. I don't have a lot of data on it. But you're going to see some messed up stuff just because of the winds they were dealing with. Did you see the winds they were dealing with?
No.
Some of the reporters were trying to like do stories and stuff. They're like getting blown around. Yeah. They're like, well, if you want to get a fire pretty absurd, like hotter than the average fire. And if you've been to Maui is windy most of the time. So if it was really windy in Maui, like that would stoke that sucker up. And Lahaina it's a beautiful place, but it's like, it's on the dry part of the island. Like it wasn't the road to Hana that burned. Yeah. Right? Like Lahaina is the part of the island that's a little bit more dry and really high winds and so like I haven't consumed any of the tinfoil hat stuff, but there's been a lot of it going around. I haven't clicked on any of it because I didn't want to mess up my algorithm too much. You know what I get a lot
that's
of? That's
what I like my algorithm for, just to be a time waste, right?
You know what I did to my algorithm?
Boobs.
No, not at all. No.
Thirst traps.
No. Oh, you told me what that is, and I was just upset by that. I didn't know it was a thing, but farts.
That's your algorithm.
I watched a fart video. This dude was in church and he farted. It was like the loudest fart on earth on a wooden bench. I like woke my wife up because I was laughing to myself like an adolescent child, and I watched the whole movie, and I watched it more than once because then I had to show Sarah. So now my algorithm always has these farts.
Like this guy likes farts.
Oh, dude, there was one like 2 days ago came up. This dude has like this long, big PVC pipe, and he farts in it, but it's like aimed at his wife's
my
face. And then she all of a sudden wakes up. It's like, oh.
You're such a big kid.
It's totally ruined my algorithm. Just that one mistake. You got to be careful with your algorithm. So
You do what you consume. You want to know something about a person, grab their phone and like look through their social media and see what the algorithm spits at you. You know what? I'm getting a lot of stupid stuff. Lord of the Rings too.
ooh.
One of the
Is
videos.
the next season coming out? Did you see Ahsoka Tano's out?
Is it out?
Yeah, it's out. I'm
haven't
stoked.
seen
I
it.
found out last night and I was like, ooh.
I saw this video of Lord of the Rings where they made the orcs sound like regular humans. Did you see that video?
No.
Hilarious. When they're carrying Pippin and Merry through the through the Highlands or whatever
Oh, yeah.
near Rohan.
Yeah.
And they're like, my buddy's sick. And they're like, give him some medicine, boys. It's like, give him some medicine, boys. And all the orcs are like, it's weird. I'll show it to you after this.
Like,
It's
pip,
worth
pip,
a watch.
cheerio.
Yeah, it's just a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff. Anyways,
If you looked at my algorithm, you'd find out that I really like to laugh.
all comedy.
But there's a lot of comedy on there.
Mine's Lord of the Rings, conspiracy theories, and a bodybuilder named Sam Sulek. He's a new guy on the scene. Jacked. He's big boy. He's like young too, but big boy. But he just makes videos of him talking during his training, but he just talks very bare bones basics. Like,
does he do Twitch for his workouts or something?
No. He's just on TikTok. Like he just carries, the lapel mics we have.
Yeah.
He carries a lapel mic like in his hat here, and will just kind of make little videos, just talking. A lot of this stuff is very basic. It's preachy. It's preachy basic in a good way, in my opinion. Like he'll talk about, like if you're trying to build muscle, intensity probably means more than like any sets or reps that you're going to do. Like you can do 10 sets at garbage intensity, or you can do 3 sets at super high intensity, and the intensity will mean more. Like it's all bare bones, just kind of like scratching the surface topics, but I don't know, good enough to motivate me a little bit, I guess.
Got enough meat to feed you.
He's a big boy, though.
That's kind of what
His
I like,
biceps are vastly bigger than yours.
He sounds great. Yeah, when somebody's going to make content like that, though, it can be a little bit surfacey, but just as long as it has enough meat that you can be like, yeah, I get where he's going and it's a good place. I like that.
I'm
It doesn't
also,
need to
like,
be everything for everyone. Just like, this makes sense.
He's so young, though, and so huge that I'm like, man, this guy might not make it to 30. And just looking at how he's going down the bend. And he's dirty bulking from what I've seen, like pizza and Five Guys. He's like, when you're trying to eat like 5,000 calories, like it doesn't got to be chicken and rice. Like sometimes you just got to get the calories in. Like he just talks bare bones basic. But I'm like, man, when you're 21 years old, like 240 pounds of jacked. Whoo.
I wish him well, but it's that there is that fear thing. It's like, is he going to be okay? I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you feel about the Titanic submarine? We never talked about that.
The implosion.
Yeah. There was a conspiracy with that one, was that all the news organizations and media were like, oh my God, they're still alive. We're on the hunt for them. We're on the hunt. But the military already knew that it imploded like days before. And for some reason, they just let it go down the rabbit hole. And then it's a conspiracy theory that the government was passing laws that nobody was paying attention to for the ultimate plan of world domination.
So I saw a video on what happens to a human body when it implodes at that pressure. It was just upsetting.
Pink dust.
Oh yeah, basically.
Pink dust.
It like showed like massive deformity and then just.
I mean, if that's the way you're going to go, it happened in less than like 10th of a second.
Yeah, you wouldn't really know what happened. That's crazy though. Like,
imagine if your soul knew what happened on the other side.
so I was listening to a podcast recently. I forget the guy's name. He's a Israeli like quantum physics expert, and he was talking about how we need to spend more time exploring our oceans, and like 90% of our oceans we don't know about, and like all this crazy stuff. I was like, that is kind of crazy that like we're like Elon Musk is trying to go to Mars and all this crazy stuff, and it's like we don't know everything about our planet yet. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. Conspiracy theories. This is one I saw maybe this morning or last night. So easy to just fake it though. But they're like, did you know that NASA held a secret mission over the last like 2 weeks ago where they hunted the last megalodon shark and nobody knows about it? Oh, these 20 NASA boats went out to sea, and this one fisherman named Sam Golin or whatever followed them, and he got video evidence, but NASA told him not to release it. Seems like a crack, like just total BS.
You are on the conspiracy.
But
stuff.
it was like a playful watch. I was like, oh yeah, NASA's hunting the megalodon shark. So cool.
Can I get a sneak peek?
I want to see a megalodon shark.
Who's helping them? Is it Nessie?
Yeah. Is it? I don't know if you know this is a weird science fact. Do you know if clouds are heavy? I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the Titanic or the Titanic vessel that imploded. And they're talking about all the pressure that was under there, like when you're under the ocean. And they mentioned that like clouds weigh like thousands of pounds. I don't know if I misheard that or not. I want to Google it now though.
If you condense clouds, you get water.
Yeah.
Because they're so high, there's no pressure. So like if you put all the mass of clouds together, it would be pretty darn heavy.
Yeah.
But
it's a weird thought.
But they're not that heavy because they're not very dense because
they're just like, yeah.
It's not pressurized.
Moisture, yeah.
Yeah. It's ambient moisture.
That's all the conspiracy theories I got for you. Thanks for coming out.
The conspiracy stuff is so interesting though, man.
I just like it because it's playful. Like, I don't necessarily think NASA was out there hunting megalodon sharks. But if there was a 1% chance that they were, that's cool too.
Well, it's an interesting concept to talk about because with some people, everything's a conspiracy theory, and it probably keeps their life really interesting, like truly. But then on the other end, when it's like, no, the government would never do that. People would never do that. I'm like, hey, listen, man, you can guarantee that people will do things for self-preservation and self-interest. You can guarantee that. So if you think that no conspiracy stuff is true, that's probably not a good place to land. You probably shouldn't buy into all of it either.
Yeah, I definitely think there's truth to some of it, but pick and choose.
There's some really funny stuff, though. Remember when COVID started coming out and people were like, it's that 5G.
Yeah. That was good.
That was one that I thought.
The cell phone towers.
I was like, who came up with that conspiracy theory? People that are older than my parents. It's like, it's the interwebs did it.
The internets. I don't think our cell phones are good for us as much as we use them, but
if you read the warnings, they're like they actually talk about the allowable amount of radiation and things like this from your cell phone. Like in China, people are more concerned about radiation coming off their laptops and stuff like that than they are with things like, drinking a glass of wine during pregnancy and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. But why don't we talk about training? We, talked about a lot of drama that has nothing to do with fitness. Why don't we fit some fitness into the
There you go. We'll fit some fitness into this.
Fit the fitness into the fitness podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you doing for training these days? What are you actually doing? Like Coach's Corner. Let's hear about what your approach is these days.
So honestly, we've been recording this podcast maybe 2 years. We discuss like a plethora of topics, one of them being intuitive training, which is like essentially we talk about not following a program. So I've been intuitively training for a long, long time. Over the last 2 months, I've actually been back on program, not for intensity, but definitely for exercise selection. So I've been following the program, but my intensity varies based off of just listening to my body and how it feels. So,
auto-regulation.
Yeah. The program I've designed was really basic, though. I'm trying to hit like 4 days a week, and then if I miss a day, then I'll take those days and I'll combine them into like a superset. So I'll kind of double up the load for that day. So that's what I did today. I caught up on Monday, Tuesday, and then tomorrow I'll do, and then Friday I'll do. Very basic, though. The volume, I've tried to actually reduce my volume because I found in my career and in my own training that I started just thinking that volume was key, and there was like so much I wanted to do and so much of the body that you want to work on and build and stretch, and it just became too much. So I started to go less is more. So I started choosing just 5 exercises, basically A, B, C, D, E, F, and I would go basic, like from compound to isolated, and then like just a core to finish off. Super bare bones basic. But then I try to crank up intensity. I'm trying to reach high intensity, higher than when I was doing double the volume, right? And yeah, it's going well. My ankle's coming along, but definitely, like I was doing 100-pound shoulder presses today for 3 sets of 10, like just overhead press with the barbell, and I can feel it in my ankle. That's like the concern, like shoulder pressing, the ankle's just a little wobbly. My wife tried to jump into my arms. She was working out with me today, and she tried to jump into my arms, and I was more concerned about my ankle than anything else. Like, I'm like, I could catch her, no problem. But like, how's the ankle going to hold up with 130 pounds, like jostling me?
I was talking to a client about this yesterday, the psychosomatic aspect of exercise and loading. And there's an aspect of this, and people hear psychosomatic and they think that I mean made up, and that's not what I mean. What I mean is the way that your brain is responding towards something that it senses, whether it's significant and concerning or not. It's something that it senses present, right? And so I had a client yesterday. She's a lady that she had neck pain for like the last 20 years. And we've resolved that to an extent where she can sleep now. She can sleep at night for the first time in 18 years, which is exciting. And she's making really good progress. And I was giving her some stuff yesterday, and she's like, I don't know about that one. I'm concerned about it. And I was like, don't even worry about it then. We'll do something else. Come over here. And I gave her something else. And I said, okay, when you're on your own, do an exercise as well. If you feel yourself starting to tense up, because you started closing down and tensing up, I saw that chin come forward, shoulders come up. When you start tensing like that, you're going to get more tension. Like, for sure, that's a closing pattern. Like, so when you feel stressed about something like that, probably just do something else.
Yeah.
Because even if you executed it well, the chances of you getting tension there when you're guarding is way higher.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're making it up. It's like when you feel concerned or stressed out about an exercise, like, I'd probably just give yourself some bandwidth. Like, just move into something that you're more comfortable doing, because like you guarding that foot, you have to teach your body that it's okay to load again, right?
Yeah.
But you also need to make sure that it's not actually going to cause damage. And that's really the kind of the rub.
There's a tightrope going.
Yeah.
A tightrope going, I guess.
Yeah. Like, you're kind of on a knife's edge there, especially in the early stages. But like, as you go on, it's like, no, my ankle's fine. Like, load it, bang. Like, jump on it, bang. Like, you got to get to it eventually.
Yeah.
But it's managing that pace, auto-regulating the pace that really matters. And I think
that's the thing people struggle with, just injuries in general. It's
all the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I see it often, especially spinal injuries. The more spinal. So the more proximal it gets to the spine, the bigger that kind of guarding and concern is. And you'll see like anxiety is attached towards movement and pain.
Yeah.
And people think like, oh, your emotions being attached to the way your body functions is kind of like hippy dippy, but it's like, no, you watch it.
It's true.
Like, watch the way that somebody walks. And they'll be walking along. It's completely normal. They start hitting a section that they recognize as a bit slippery. What happens? Their movements get jerkier. Their steps get shorter. Like, they tense up. There's all these things that they do because there's more of a risk of falling.
Yeah.
And so you can see that concern translate into movement changes that are, in that case, appropriate changes even. But it's really interesting when you look at that kind of guarding process.
Yeah. Yeah. The healing process is unique to everybody and their mindset towards the process as well. Yeah. I would say I'm probably a little bit more aggressive on my ankle than most would be in the recovery process, but that's because I've had enough experience with injuries to know that I want to try to push it a little bit harder. Like, I've been skipping, and I've been starting to jog on it a little bit and things like that.
The Swedish sport of jogging?
Jogging. What is it? Freestyle walking is actually what I do.
Oh yeah. Get that freestyle. Get a spin in every here and there. Ha!
So yeah, that's how my training is going. The leg workouts are very not what they used to be, obviously, but it's like I'm doing body weight squats, and the ankle still feels that. I've been doing body weight lunges, and the body weight lunge, the hardest part for me is the ankle.
When it's in the back?
Yeah. When it's in the back, and it's also in the quad too. The quad is weaker. And in my home gym, I have a rough time trying to isolate quads and hamstrings with. It would be nice to have like a leg extension or a hamstring curl. But yeah, I've like one of the best exercises that's been making me feel good is bootstrappers.
Oh yeah.
Because that loads the quads the way they need to be loaded and puts the ankle in a stretch that he needs.
Yeah, that's like the back position of the lunge, but the foot isn't on its own.
Yeah, and much more kind of stabilized. So I have been throwing that into old repertoire, a Houdini special. That one.
I love it when people talk trash about that exercise. I got that in like 2008 from Agatsu.
I remember you taught me that like 10 plus years ago.
Oh yeah, like it's super old exercise. And I've had a few people be like, what are you even doing with that drill? It's like, well, man, listen, it loads the quads. It puts the knee very far forward. Is it going to be everything to everyone? No, but it has a good place. And part of that place is you can load the quad. You can get those toes into dorsiflexion. You can get length on the hamstring when you're straightening up. It works on spinal segmentation because you can be in flexion. Like there's a bunch of things with bootstrappers that it's like don't talk trash about an exercise until you fully understand the impacts it can have.
Yeah, for the audio listeners only, a bootstrapper is essentially if you're in like a downward dog and then you just kind of push your knees to the floor and come up on your toes.
Yeah, knees touch the floor and your hands at the same time, and then you straighten your legs.
Yeah, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So that's how my workouts have been going. It's been going smooth and good. I still would like to try to increase intensity more regularly. I need to sleep better. Fatherhood is stealing my sleep. You heard of revenge sleep?
Oh, yeah, I know revenge sleep, yeah.
Revenge sleep, like, is when you're a parent and so much of your time is dedicated towards your children that when they finally go to sleep, you want to stay up later to kind of get your time back, whether that's working or whether that's recreation, whatever you're doing. You're just trying to take more time for yourself, and then it turns in that you have less sleep.
Yeah, and
then you're dragging.
Especially for me. My wife points out all the time. She's like, you need to go to bed now, man. You have a hard time in the morning.
I have such a hard, like, I don't know about you, but like when I'm getting 6 hours sleep broken or less, my body feels like I'm in a constant state of dehydration. And me and you know what an optimal body feels like. So when I'm exercising on 8 to 9 hours sleep, I'm a superhero. When I'm exercising on 5 hours sleep, my body, like that pump sensation or the failure sensation that the tissue gives you after like a good stimulus,
it
hits so much faster. Like I get fatigued like almost double time on 6 hours sleep than I would 8.
And also it'll feel like it's like just a kind of a brick wall sort of fatigue without any of that sort of like residual pump or like
it just hits.
It's not like
it's a light switch.
Not like now I'm getting into it. It's not like this sensation of like I'm doing what I should be doing. It's more like I'm fighting something.
Yeah.
So my wife is super good to me because she knows that I need my sleep, and I always have. But like especially since I got all this drama going on with my brain, she often will be up in the night and doesn't wake me up. But like, it's very rare that I get under 7.5 hours of sleep. Very rare. And most of the time I'm shooting for 8.
So you're saying you get 7.5 plus regularly?
Yeah, it's very rare that if I get under 7.5, and I have a hard time functioning on that, truly.
Dude, before Jackson, I was honestly getting like 8 to 9.
Yeah.
Always. And now Jackson, I'm getting like a pretty steady 6. And it's a broken 6, I guarantee
it. Feels hard, man.
It makes life harder. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to start messing around with cold exposure in the morning, see if I can get my butt going better.
I can't do that by myself.
Do we need to make like a barter, true as the North Star?
What? Say again?
Do we need to make a barter, true as the North Star?
A barter?
Yeah.
A barter.
Like, well, I'll do it 3 times a week as long as you do. Ooh.
Where's the accountability piece, though?
Oh, I'll be texting you being like, man, I just got out of the bath and it was the worst.
You send me a picture of the shriveled.
Yeah.
Never mind.
The innie. Like, this used to be an Audi. I swear, I have 3 kids. No. So I was listening to Huberman's podcast, and I've done some cold exposure, but he was talking about how it doesn't even need to be that darn cold.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, get in a tub and run it straight cold water, and you'll get like all the same effects of going into ice water.
That's still hard.
Oh, I know.
It's almost harder when the water's at a higher cold, like a lower temperature. It's almost easier because you numb out to it quicker.
It stings, yeah.
Yeah, when you get into it like medium cold like that.
Every time I've gone swimming in glacier water, it just like it burns when you get in, and it's like it burns so much that it's just kind of like numb. So like I've done cold showers where it's just all the way on cold, and it's miserable, especially in the morning.
If you did this cold exposure, if we do this cold exposure, if we make a barter.
True as the North Star.
Would you do it in the bathtub or would you do it in the shower?
Bathtub for sure.
Did you hear, so anyways, Huberman, we were supposed to do an episode on cold exposure. We might next episode, but accumulative, you're looking for 11 minutes a week. Did you catch that information?
Yeah, so I was going to do 6 minutes 3 times a week is what I was going to do to start.
That's a lot. That's actually not a lot. I'm just a wuss.
6 minutes isn't crazy.
No, but if you're trying to hit that 11 minutes going 3 times 4.
Man, when do I start with bare ass minimums?
It's not at the bare ass minimum. There's diminishing returns after 12 minutes.
Yeah.
You just like to punish yourself.
I think part of it is getting over the misery of it, though.
One of the things that I also saw in cold exposure, whether this is accurate information or not, it would be hard to find it, especially because there's so much information out there. Welcome to Fitness or Fiction, by the way. Yeah. One of these guys on the internet was talking about how you don't even need to put your body into the cold water. You can essentially just get
your face.
Yeah, you saw that one?
Yeah,
just a bowl of ice because all the sensor, like all the all the nerves are in your face and it would set off the same response?
It doesn't set off the same response though. I can't believe that it does, because cold shock proteins, those are in your liver, right? So it's like, you're going to tell me getting my face cold is going to get the same thing. You're going to have like a neurological effect of shock, but I don't think you're going to get the same core body temperature effect that would change the function of the liver.
So
I can't get my head around that. We'll have to look into it deeper.
Are you doing bath or shower?
Bath.
Why?
We have a big bath in my ensuite, and I think just being able to sit there and look at the stupid timer and curse at it a little bit is probably going to be easier for me. And I actually think that it'll be easier for me to just like pony up the dough to get in the tub and stay there, rather than like stepping in and out of the water and stuff. You kind of have an out built in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
the cold showers, to me, because I've done them, are way worse, because like the water's not hitting all of your body. So if you're facing the water, it's like kind of hitting your chest, and you kind of got to do the 360 roundabout to like constantly be getting hit by the water versus like fully submerged.
It's a constant choice of engaging with it how you could.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm saying I think I'm just going to do the bath, because then I can just lay there and be like, yeah, this is miserable. Especially first in the morning. I have a hard time with mornings.
Yeah.
Right? So like if I'm already feeling a little bit shaky and I'm going to go start shivering, that's a hard sell for me.
That is that methodology of eat the frog, though. Like, that's damn near getting the worst thing done in the day. And that's why they talk about the dopamine spike you get from it, because you wait if you wake up and the first thing you do is go and run that tub and jump in it, you're a superhero.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 minutes.
I lost it. I lost my thoughts.
Oh, no. But yeah, cold exposure is something I want to dabble with. Interesting thing about cold exposure, we'll talk about this more when we actually do the research on it and everything. The interesting thing that I find about cold exposure is that people want to do it right after they work out. And there's this aspect where you need to cause a certain amount of inflammation. You need to go through a certain amount of metabolic challenge with your workouts to get the recovery.
Yeah.
So they say don't do that right after your workout. Do it like 4 hours after your workout.
Sauna's better after the workout.
Yeah, yeah.
Hot.
You can extend your workout like we talked about in that session. But
I remember what I was gonna say. Cold tubs. Like if you're actually gonna buy a cold plunge, expensive, dude. More expensive than a sauna. A cold plunge tub is like for the decent ones, like $5,000.
Supply and demand, man. Like everybody's doing that right now. Joe Rogan basically got everybody on this. I'm not saying he came up with it, but like there's a lot of people listening to Joe. They really like him because he's really honest. Yeah. And for me, it's like, yeah, it's so popular right now that it's just going to be crazy. And I'm going to so part of this test, I'm going to do 3 weeks, 3 times a week, 6 minutes per time. And I'm going to see how I feel and catalog it a little bit. But what I think right now, without testing my theory, is that the minimum amount of cold you can get from just cold water out of your tap. Yep. I think you can get the benefit from just that, and you can use your own damn tub. It doesn't need to be, I say this all the time in mobility class, it doesn't need to be a particularly dignified drill as long as we're targeting the tissue and getting the stimulus.
Yeah.
So like, okay, you've been in this position 1,000 times. Why don't we make it more valuable? I'll show you how to contract at end range and whatever, right?
Yeah. Everybody wants to try to like all or nothing mentality. Well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well put ice in it and get frozen. The way people like rig it up together is just a deep freeze. They they buy old deep freeze on the marketplace and transfer that into a cold tub. But again,
I wouldn't disparage that at all. I just want to test it out this way and be like, okay, what's the minimum effective dose? Like, do I need to go that crazy, or can I just use my tub? And how much do I really need in my big tub in the ensuite? I don't need to fill my tub up. I can put it like, how thick am I from my chest to my back? I can go like 10 inches and then just lay the heck down. Yeah.
So you've never done consistent, like regular scheduled cold exposure? Like you've done it before, but not like on a.
I've really dabbled a lot with heat. I really always enjoyed heat therapy.
Yeah. Heat's relaxing though.
For me, it's kind of a problem now because like I go to jiu-jitsu on Tuesdays and I know I'm going to get handicapped. Yeah. Like as soon as I get too hot, I start losing my left leg and then I start losing my left arm, and that's upsetting. And like how hard I push that night is based on how emotionally ready I am to be handicapped in front of people. Mm-hmm. So for me, heat exposure is emotionally more challenging now, and like I'll do, like me and Damien, when we were out at Nationals in Ontario, we went into a sauna that was like smoking hot, and I just stuck it out. Like we did 20 minutes in this sauna that was absurd. It was like stinging my nose. It was so hot.
Yeah.
And then he had to open the door for me so I could kind of drag my hump out. I was crawling out and whatever, and then just laid there to cool down so I could get my function back, right? I'm really interested to see how cold therapy will be, but like that confrontation with heat, I would like to train heat to get better. And I am winning at that a little bit. Like it used to be when I messed myself up, it would take like over an hour to really feel right.
Yeah.
Now I can kind of right size myself in about 3 to 4 minutes. So like I can finish a round of jiu-jitsu, and if I can get my leg flexed again, like sit in a squat, then I can get it back and do another round in a few minutes. But like that sort of training it's a tough training to do.
What we should almost do is we should do a podcast episode on cold exposure and benefit, just talk it over, and then do 3 weeks of it, and then come back and have a conversation on how it went.
What you trying to push this off for? You scared? I'm starting Monday.
Oh, you can like we could start. No, I'm saying like
Yeah, no,
I'm saying we do a follow-up episode and see like if it was all that in a bag of potato chips, or was it just cold water and it just made the morning. Like, did it actually make you feel better throughout the day, or?
Yeah, I think we should have to, we'll take notes afterwards, and we'll take notes that night. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to do cold exposure Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, directly after cold exposure, we'll say 15 minutes afterwards, I'll write down how I'm feeling and whatever else, how much sleep I had the night before, things like this.
Yeah.
And then that night, say 12 hours later, write down, here's how I'm feeling right now.
You're like a scientist, like a doctor scientist.
I'm not a Scientologist.
What's your work? We got limited time here. What's your workouts looking like?
My workouts, so I'm training with Caleb Kostanuk and Adam Miller from N1. I've been doing that for a while. My workouts are stimulus-based, real N1 style sort of stuff. I'm pivoting right now. I'm gonna start training to do a bench press contest.
Okay.
I haven't done a competition in a long time for weightlifting, and I miss it. Like I think part of the reason I miss it is because it's not something that I really have an option for anymore. So it's like, well, what can I compete in? So I think I'm going to do a bench contest in the new year at some point. So I just added that into my routine, and it's smoking me a little bit. So neurological phase is what I'm in right now. I just came out of a oxidative stress phase, which is really tough. It's like turn your muscles to beef jerky, basically, like trisets. It's really tough.
Yeah.
But I do 4 days a week of like proper weights. That's really what I do. And outside of that, I've got my 3 mobility classes, like kin stretch classes that I teach Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And then I do jiu-jitsu on Tuesday. So I really, like I'm doing active stuff that's targeted 8 times a week.
Swimming counts.
Well, swimming with the kids.
It's play, but it counts, man.
Well, yeah.
Dude, like my dad lost so much weight when he was swimming. That shows, that's a testament to itself. Just like it's calories, it's energy you're using, man.
Well, when I'm wrestling with the kids and stuff, it's worth something, I would say. It's not like lanes or anything, but it's something. But
well, like all me and my dad did was just tread water and dive and tread water and dive and play. Like it's work, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your kids don't want to be thrown once. You know what I'm saying? They come up to me and they're like,
I throw them over and over and over. Yes.
Again.
Luke's did a triple backflip. Do you see that? Picked him up by his feet and I whipped him. Did a triple backflip before he hit the water. Then he was like, okay, that's enough, Daddy.
He hasn't changed at all. Like when I first went swimming with him, the very first time I went, we were in the Northwest, and he like came up to me and tossed me. I gave him a baby toss, and he came up and he's like, again. With his like look in his eye, like fierce. And I was like, okay, you want some heat, little man? I'll give you some heat. So I gave him a good toss. Straight back to me again. And he does the same thing like 3 years later. Exact same thing.
They're legends. Those kids they're a pleasure, man. And Leo, I can't wait to start bringing him because he's the most savage of all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Leo's psychotic. Like we were taught the kids how to water ski, right? Lucas has been able to water ski since he was 4.
Yeah.
And so he was skiing this year, and the 3 of us got up together, and we get to the dock, and Leo trudges over, gets a water ski and starts putting it on. He wants to learn. He's 18 months old. Yeah. Like he's a little savage, man. And he's like, no, we're not going to do that. And he starts screaming at you and stuff. It's like, he's bigger than the other 2, and he's built for sound, man. Like well,
it's probably a good thing for him to be bigger if he's going to be the youngest brother.
Oh, he's got to be tough. Yeah.
Yeah, got to keep up a little bit.
But yeah, my training's been going good, man. I feel like I'm making marginal gains on this leg some days. my hamstring has been smoked for a few weeks, which is actually good because that hasn't been working for a while. So the fact that I feel something is good. And I just got my MRI results back yesterday. My neurologist sent me a text kind of flippantly like, hey, I just checked your MRI. No new lesions. Congrats, dude. I was just like, oh, sweet. Like that's deeply life impacting for me. Mm-hmm. So I was excited to see that. It means things are holding, which is good.
Do you know, I'm just genuinely curious, like what's the range of that would be like low to high, like low to bad, I guess, for like lesions? If you called like there's 10 or there's like 1,000.
There's 2 metrics that they use. They would be the number of new lesions or worsening lesions, meaning getting larger. Yeah. And then they would tell you the size of the lesions that are present, right? I don't know what the average or anything is like that. I know that since I got diagnosed, I think I've had like 1 or 2 come up. Yeah. Like I've pretty much held her where she is. But the way that he talks to me, he's like, listen, with all the stuff that you do, like you're training consistently, you're eating healthy, you don't take on any gluten, you really limit dairy. The right number is 0 for you. And if it's not that, I'm going to be changing the drugs. I'm going to make sure, right? So I'm on a heavy infusion every 6 months now. And
so your lifestyle actually matters?
Yeah, man. The doctors that I've talked to get very frustrated because they just want their patients to take ownership of doing what they can do. And it might not stop everything, but it will have an impact. Yeah. And when I talk to people, I'll just tell them over and over, I'm like, don't undercut the amount of impact you can have by making the right choices. The little things will be big things. Yeah. So, but training for me, man, at the end of the day, it's going well. I wish I could do stuff that I used to be able to do, and I try to hold hope that I can get back to doing some stuff and having some of the freedoms that I used to enjoy. Like to be able to run again would be really impactful for me. Yeah. And people are like, well, running sucks anyway. I'm like, yeah, until you can't do it. Like if you picture like, okay, chase me, daddy. It's like, well, okay, I'll give it a go. My kids haven't really noticed much yet. Yeah. But like when you want to play sports and stuff, I can't really play basketball. I can't really do like capture the flag and things like that. Things like spike ball I can kind of do a little bit. So I enjoy them. Yeah. But you know, for me, the most impactful thing for me would be getting back to running. Just not even for the sake of running, not a practice of jogging, but just being able to play sports again. But it's an interesting thing to go from the fastest guy on the field to I can't really run. Yeah. But you know, people look at me weird too, right? They're like, "What are you talking about? I'm like, why aren't you playing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just not. I don't feel like it today." I don't always feel like telling them why.
Yeah, it's hard to always explain the story.
Yeah.
Over and over and over.
Yeah. Some days I don't want to confront it either. It's like I just don't feel like it.
Yeah. I feel you.
So, but training's been good, man. Training's been good. I've been enjoying jiu-jitsu. Tapped out a couple people last night. You want to know when you see somebody's eyes go the worst, like just straight dead? When you tap somebody out and then they go to get up and they realize that you can't, there's this look in their eyes like, oh man, that sucks. It's like, I just got choked out by a guy with one arm. I hate that. Yeah. It's not always like that. I get tapped out too, but you know, when it does turn out that way, sometimes I'm like, I'm sorry.
You're a strong, coordinated dude more than most.
Me. But yeah, so training's been good. Big thing for me is can I hold things where they're at and maybe take some progress and
take a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we got time for. It was good chatting with you. Thanks for listening. We talked about megalodon sharks and blue lasers.
I hope they found the megalodon. And I hope
megalodon okay. With the laser.
The blue laser on the megalodon.
Thanks for joining us this week. We appreciate your support.
If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you would subscribe, follow, and throw us a like on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.